Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we have kind of a special review. So this is review number 1200. It's one of these mini milestone reviews, but as I always do with these, I just want to say thank you to you guys, the viewers, for supporting the channel over the last kind of 4.5 years it is now. So it's been great to do all these beer reviews for you. I get to try some really pretty awesome beer, and it's always great to communicate with you guys. You guys are one of the best sources of information on beer that anyone could really ask for. So I thank you to all of you guys who have contributed to the channel over the last couple of years. It's been a really great journey. But for this one, I'm quite excited. I sort of saved a bit of a special beer for this review. And this is a brewery I've wanted to introduce you to for quite some time actually. If you've watched Peter over at the Master of Hoppets, you might have seen a couple of the beers from these guys. But for this one, we are going to go to Denmark and we're going to do my first ever beer review from Alefarm, who are a brewery that specialise in mainly in sour beers, but they do a couple of IPAs and things like that as well. So for this beer review, we're going to have a taste of the Funk Orchard. This one is a Saison and it's hopped with different American hops. I think it's Citra that they've used in this one on previous versions. I'm not sure about this particular version, but it comes in at 7% ABV and it should be really nice. On Rate Beer, this guy has a 98 overall and a 97 within the Saison style, and I think on Untappd it was well into the 4 stars as well. But I've heard very, very good things about this beer, and you know, Peter thinks very highly of these guys as well. They're a very, very highly rated Danish brewery these days, so I'm glad that I'm finally able to review one of their beers on the channel for you, and I hope you guys enjoy my take on it. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from Alefarm. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers, of course, sorry, not trying one of their beers, reviewing one of their beers. I have had a couple of them on tap. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Danish beers that I've reviewed for you, and that's constantly being added to. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Alefarm then. So Alefarm is the brainchild of Andreas Larsson, and they were founded back in 2015. So Andreas had been a home brewer for a while, but he also worked for quite a long time as a librarian, and originally he based the company in a farm north of Copenhagen, but he soon moved the business to Køge, which is just to the kind of southwest of the city. It looks like it's a little bit of a kind of coastal town, but it's just in that little bit. Sjælland, of course, has a little bit of a curve on it. Copenhagen's down here, and then Køge is just a little bit to the southwest of that, kind of in the corner of the cove. But for a long time he was working with a 200 litre brew kit, which was intended to be a kind of pilot brewery or a transition brew kit while they got the bigger operation up and running. But they're actually taking their production up to around 20 hectolitres at the moment, and this is why their beers have become a little bit more readily available. Initially they were just selling all their beers themselves, and I think mainly they were in different casks and things like that, and it's only recently that they've been able to get a lot of different bottles and things out there. From what the guys at Kiosk were telling me, they've been getting a lot more beers in bottles from Alefarm over the last couple of months, but the hope is that the brewery will be able to start exporting their beers in the next little while as well. But like I said, they mainly specialise in sour beers like Saisons and things like that, but they do have a few pale ales and IPAs and stuff like that. When I met Peter and Rob from Hop Scene in Copenhagen at Fermentoren, I believe it was, we met them at Himmeriet, and then we went to Fermentoren. We had a couple of the Alefarm IPAs on tap and they were really good, so I'm looking forward to trying one of their sour beers for the first time. So hopefully, like I say, you guys enjoy my take on this beer. But that's all you need to know about the brewery just now. Have a little look in the brewery website in the description below. It's probably better that you follow these guys on Facebook actually, and you'll be kept up to date with exactly what's going on at the brewery. But I've heard from the guys at Kiosk that this is a bloody good beer. So let's get on to the tasting section of this video now. So there you can see nice artwork on this one. I do quite like these ones. They had a couple of other beers there that were peach Saisons and things like that when I was in Kiosk, but I thought this is the one that sounds really interesting to me. Plain bottle cap on this, of course. On the side here it says, Funk Orchard is our mixed fermentation tart farmhouse Saison, open fermented with Saison yeast, Brettanomyces and our house bacteria culture, then dry hopped with American hops, naturally carbonated through re-fermentation in the bottle, open carefully, contents are under pressure. So yeah, nicely presented beer. As I say, I like the artwork on this one. St Solby, which I believe is just the area area of Denmark that these guys are based in. So yeah, looks really nice. So without further ado then, let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting then. If I can, there we are. That was actually quite an easy cap to get off. I'm surprised at that. Usually when it comes to these slightly wider bottles, they can be a bit difficult. But you can smell some of that lovely fruity character off this beer just as you open it up. Surprised I'm not getting any head off it actually. But yeah, we'll leave the rest in the bottle just now and see how we get on. But you can really smell, that's a really unusual aroma that's coming off that. There's a lot of different fruity characters coming out of this beer. But as you can see, it's poured. If I hold it up to the light, you know, it's poured almost the same colour as like a West Coast IPA or something like that. It's got that nice kind of rich amber quality to it, but there's a little bit of a kind of redness. It's almost got a little bit of that kind of colour that you'd expect of a fruit beer, but it looks, you know, it looks really nice actually. The colour of this beer is really quite cool. If I put my fingers behind it, you can see there is a degree of transparency to this beer. I'm not sure how well you can see that on the camera, but there is a degree of transparency to this beer, and although it is kind of hazy at the same time, I think if there was going to be a head on this beer, it would be probably a perfect white head or a slightly creamy coloured head, but there's nothing really wanting to come out of this beer, which is kind of interesting actually. I suppose when it was under, I would have expected a bit more of a pop from it. But we'll see how we get on with it. But let's take a closer look at the aroma then and see how we get on. Oh yeah. It's got a little bit of a kind of vinous quality to it. It definitely has a bit of that kind of sour, tart sharpness, which is nice. Yeah, there's a bit of boozy quality to this, which is lovely. But yeah, there's a little bit of a kind of mango-y note, I think. Some kind of lychees, but it definitely has a good bit of that. The sort of sour beer qualities on this, as you would expect, are shining through. It's got a little bit of a kind of vinous quality, that white wine kind of green grapey thing. It definitely has that to it. There's a bit of floral and grassy note in there from the hops. There's a wee bit, I think there's a bit, it's mainly mango and lychee I think, that's coming out on the fruity side of things. But the sort of lemon tart sharpness that's coming out of this beer is really nice. There's a bit of a bready pale malt to it. You can pick up a little bit, I think it said on the bottle, there's a bit of wheat malt in there, Fada, yeah. There's definitely a little bit of that bready quality to it, but it's the sour notes, the sharp, tart, lemony kind of citricy notes that are really sticking out of this one to me. And as I say, when you sit it away from you a little bit, I'm doing my sort of chemistry wave again to get some of the aromas with this one. It has a really interesting aroma. It's quite vinous, as I say, a little bit of mango, a little bit of kind of lychee or something like that in there as well. But it's not the most complex of aromas, as I say. It's got kind of what you'd expect. It does jump out at you. It's quite pungent, but it's not the most kind of complex aroma that I've come across when it comes to sour beers, and I find myself getting really into these days. So without further ado then, let's have a little look at the taste of this beer. This one's the Funk Orchard from Alefarm from Køge near Copenhagen on Sjælland in Denmark. Skål! That's quite nice. Carbonation in this beer is really, really soft, and that makes sense with the amount, you know, with the head on this one. There's very little carbonation to this beer. But I like that. I do like how that beer's turned out. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about whether it should have had a bit more carbonation to it, but in terms of the flavour, it really is bloody good. Yeah, the thing is as well, it's really easy drinking. You could sit and drink that all day, to be quite honest. One thing I've always said with sour beers, if you are only just getting into these, it can take a few to really get your head around them. But this one for me is certainly a really nice beer. If you get the chance to try any of the Alefarm stuff, have a go at them because they're all really highly rated. This is my first time trying one of their sour beers, but I have to say I'm pretty impressed with this one. But yeah, that's nice. The smoothness that this beer has is really cool as well. It does have that sort of sour beer quality that it has. It's not too sharp and tart, but then again, as I say, with the sour beers, it's really kind of, when it comes to sour beers, your mouth really, over time, your palate really adjusts and get used to what these beers are trying. It's pretty much like any stouts. When you first start drinking craft beer, you really get used to the hoppiness and the fruitiness, and you think, oh, that's really bloody good. It's the same with sour beers. It's another kind of adjustment that you have to make with your palate, but I really like this one. So yeah, with this beer, but then the malt base, as you'd expect, is really, really smooth. You can feel a little bit of that bready quality. It just goes right across the middle of your palate and it sits there. It's really, really smooth. And I just like how you start to get some of the kind of woody notes out of this beer. I think there's definitely a little bit of a woody quality in the malt base there as well. The breadiness just kind of sits there, and then as the beer kind of mellows out and the flavour almost kind of dries out on your palate, if you can say that, you do start to get a little bit of a woody note. Not sure if there's maybe a wee kind of touch of a biscuity sweetness in the middle of your palate, but definitely the sort of the wheat malt, that kind of wheat pale malt kind of bready sort of thing that's coming out of this is really nice and really smooth. And the sour beer qualities, the sort of sharp kind of tart things that you're getting out of this beer, if you just kind of imagine as if there's a sort of horseshoe shape on your tongue from the very back and it goes around the edges of the palate, just to the inside a little bit of the edges of your tongue, you can feel those nice sour beer qualities there. There is a little bit of a vinous quality to this one. It's got a little bit of that kind of sharp lemony citric note from the Brettanomyces, but you can feel it really mixes quite well with that sort of woody quality it has. It's almost got a little bit of a kind of green grapey note, which is interesting. It's got a bit of a gooseberry quality as well, which if there's citra in this beer, that will give you a little bit of the gooseberry qualities. There's some sort of lychee notes in there as well. Around the edges of the tongue, the hops, as you'd expect with a sour beer, they're not too prominent, but with this one, there's a tiny little bit of earthiness in the back corners of the palate as you come further forward. Maybe a wee bit of herbal quality, some nice floral aromaticity. Then round the very front curve of the tongue, it's just a little bit lighter and sort of grassy as well. But yeah, I like how all the flavours go together in this one. It's a kind of ridiculously easy drinking sour beer, this one. It's really bloody well done, I have to say, to Alefarm. Really good stuff with this. I hope I can try a couple more of their beers over the next little while. And apologies about the edit there, guys. Camera just decided it couldn't detect the SD card anymore. Don't know what was going on. But yeah, as I was saying, it's really impressive that these guys can put together a sour beer as they have in kind of such a short space of time. And it's quite an admirable feat to take on the role of being a sour beer brewery because of the amount of time and effort you have to put into it. But these guys have really done a nice job with this one, I have to say. And I just like how, as I say, I like how all the flavours in this beer go together. I mean, it's lovely. I mean, on the fruity side of things, yeah, on the fruity side of things, it's really interesting. It's got that kind of vinous quality that you expect. There's a little bit, I think there's a wee bit of a kind of lychee sort of gooseberry thing going on. There's a teeny little bit of mango, and maybe a little bit of grapefruit, but the hoppy side of things that you would expect from the Citra isn't there too much with this one. It's more about the kind of vinous sort of Brettanomyces kind of qualities that this beer's given you, but it's really nice, and I have to admit I can see why the beer is quite highly rated. It's not quite as carbonated and things as I was expecting, but I just like how all the flavours go so well together in this one. So, you know, as I say, a big thumbs up to Alefarm when it comes to this beer. I'm really glad that I was able to finally review one of these for you guys on the channel. But yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel then, I would say this beer probably, I'd say it's kind of mid to full bodied. The carbonation being really soft in this one makes it feel quite oily. It really has a big oily mouthfeel, this one. There's a good little bit of a kind of tart sharpness to it, but it's not the most kind of puckering beer that you're going to come across. There's a lot of nice juicy fruity quality to it. There's a little bit of hoppy bitterness, again not too much. It's by no means is this beer going to blow your head off in terms of IBUs. And the malt base is really nice and smooth. It's maybe got a little touch of kind of sweetness to it, but overall, this beer is more about how the kind of flavours go together, and it's just really good. There's not much more you can kind of say about that. It's a very unique sour beer compared to some of the other ones that I've had, but I would be interested to try some of the other Alefarm beers and just see, or the sour beers I should say, and just see how they come across. But it seems to be that they're a really, really solid brewery, and I'm glad, as I say, that I got the chance to review one of these for you. So this was the Funk Orchard by Alefarm from Køge, just to the kind of south of Copenhagen. I hope I've been pronouncing that right actually, but it's a really good beer. Have a go at it. It's very, very unique. I do like that kind of vinous, kind of woody quality that the beer has, and it just, all the flavours just go together really quite nicely, so definitely have a go with this beer for yourself. It's a really cool one to actually be able to introduce you to, or to, it's a really cool brewery to be able to introduce you to for one of these kind of mini milestone reviews. So yeah, have a go at this beer and just see how you get on. But yeah, once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Thank you for all your support over the last 1200 videos. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Check out my social media. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Alefarm. Let me know what other ones you reckon I should check out. And let me know your own thoughts on this one in particular. But I think this is a really bloody good sour beer. So I'll need to edit the video together, and we'll see how we get on with it. But thank you once again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. The Funk Orchard from Alefarm in Køge in Denmark. A really lovely sour beer, and I'm glad that I finally got to review a beer from this brewery. Slanger just now. Skål.